Dear students, yesterday we were discussing about molecular orbital theory. We continue the same today also. So based on molecular orbital theory, we have already completed 3 molecules: hydrogen, lithium and the boron. So formation of these homonuclear diatomic molecules we have already completed. Today we start some other molecules, homonuclear as well as heteronuclear. Both diatomic molecules can be discussed today. So first we take carbon. Okay. So if two carbon atoms are mutually combining, what will be the formation of a molecule? So that will be explained. We take carbon with atomic number 6. What is electronic configuration? 1s1, 1s2, 2s2, 2px1, 2py1. So this is the electronic configuration of carbon. Now we have to explain formation of C2 based on molecular orbital diagram. So we may draw the diagram. Two carbon atoms are going to join. So what are the available orbitals? 1s, 2s, 2p. So these are the available orbitals. But we can omit 1s. Why? Yesterday I told, when you omit totally the bonding as well as anti-bonding molecular orbitals formed by the combination of 1s orbitals, bond order will not be changed. If you totally omit, bond order will not be changed. So in molecular orbital diagram, you can directly start from 2s. Okay. Two s orbital, then 2p orbital, 2px, 2py, 2pz. Okay. So this is 2px, 2py, 2pz. So electronic configuration 1s2, 2s2, 2px1, 2py1. This is for first carbon. Second carbon also the same. 2s orbital, 2p orbital. This is 2px, 2py, 2pz. The energy is increasing in this order. Electronic configuration as usual 1s2, 2s2, 2px1, 2py1. Atomic orbitals are combining together to produce two molecular orbitals. One will be called as bonding molecular orbital, another will be called as anti-bonding molecular orbital. So due to the combination of 2s atomic orbitals of both the carbon atoms, we are getting bonding as well as anti-bonding. What is the symbol for bonding? Sigma. For anti-bonding, sigma star. So this is obtained due to the combination of 2s orbital. So these two molecular orbitals are represented as sigma 2s and the sigma star 2s. Next, 2p orbital of both the carbon atoms are combining together. They will produce bonding as well as anti-bonding molecular orbital. So this is what? Sigma 2px, pi 2py, pi 2pz. The same way, this is anti-bonding molecular orbital. So pi 2py, pi star 2py, pi star 2pz. Sigma star 2px. So we can fill the electrons. Due to the combination of atomic orbitals, bonding as well as anti-bonding molecular orbitals form. Next we have to fill the electron. Now from the diagram, how much electrons present totally? Left hand side for the first carbon 4 electrons, for the second carbon 4 electrons, totally 8 electrons present in this orbitals. So we can place all these electrons. So due to the combination of 2s atomic orbitals, 4 electrons will be placed in bonding as well as anti-bonding. Electrons first fill lower energy orbital. So first electron, second electron, third electron, fourth electron. Totally 8 electrons. First 4 electrons filled here. Next, fifth electron will occupy pi 2py. Sixth electron will occupy pi 2pz. Seventh electron will be paired in pi 2px. Eighth electron will be paired in pi 2pz. So this is arrangement of electrons in the molecular orbital. Due to the combination of atomic orbital, a different bonding as well as anti-bonding molecular orbitals formed. From the diagram, we have totally 8 electrons. 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2. Totally 8 electrons. 8 electrons are placed based on the electronic arrangement principles. Aufbau principle, Hund's rule and the Pauli exclusion principle. So 8 electrons placed. What is the next step? We have to write electronic configuration of the molecule. For the molecule C2, electronic configuration sigma 1s2, sigma star 1s2. So if we are not mentioning this in the diagram, bond order will not be changed. So that we have omitted in the diagram part. So while writing electronic configuration, you may include sigma 1s2, sigma star 1s2. Next, sigma 2s2, sigma star 2s2. Next, pi 2py1 or 2, pi 2pz2. So this is the electronic configuration of the molecule based on molecular orbital diagram. Then you can calculate bond order value. So bond order is equal to Nb minus Na by 2, number of electrons in bonding molecular orbital minus number of electrons in anti-bonding molecular orbital, divided by 2. Totally how much electrons present in bonding molecular orbital? 2 plus 2, 4 plus 2, 4, 6. Totally 6 electrons present in bonding molecular orbital. Only 2 electrons present in anti-bonding molecular orbital. So 6 minus 2 divided by 2. So bond order for C2 molecule is 2. So there will be double bond between the carbon atoms. Okay. Next, what about magnetic nature? C2 molecule is paramagnetic or diamagnetic? All the 8 electrons are present in the form of paired one. So this is diamagnetic substance which will not be attracted by the magnet. So with this, C2 molecule is over. Next, we take N2 nitrogen molecule. Nitrogen. So 2 nitrogen atoms are going to combine. Atomic number of nitrogen is 7. Electronic configuration 1s2, 2s2, 2px1, 2py1, 2pz1. So this is electronic configuration. 1s2, 2s2, 2px1, 2py1, 2pz1. For the next nitrogen also same. 1s2, 2s2, 2px1, 2py1, 2pz1. So now atomic orbitals are combining together to produce bonding as well as anti-bonding molecular orbital. Now total number of electrons how much? Left hand side for the first nitrogen 5 electrons in the valence cell, and here also 5 electrons in the valence cell. We have considered only second cell. We have omitted 1s orbital totally because bond order value will not be changed. So totally 10 electrons present. You can place the 10 electrons in the bonding as well as anti-bonding molecular orbital according to the basic principles of electronic arrangement. So first electron, second electron, third electron, fourth electron, fifth electron, sixth electron, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay. So this is the arrangement. 10 electrons will be placed in this order. So we have only 2 electrons in the antibonding molecular orbital, remaining 8 electrons placed in bonding molecular orbital. Now you may write electronic configuration of the molecule based on MO diagram. Electronic configuration of the molecule can be written. So for N2 molecule, sigma 1s2, sigma star 1s2, sigma 2s2, sigma star 2s2, then pi 2py 2, pi 2pz2, sigma 2px2. Okay. So for each nitrogen 7 electron, totally 14 electrons placed here. This is the electronic arrangement or configuration for the N2 molecule based on molecular orbital diagram. Next we may calculate bond order. So bond order is equal to number of electrons in bonding minus number of electrons in antibonding molecular orbital divided by 2. Calculate total number of electrons in bonding molecular orbital. 2 plus 2 4 plus 2 6 plus 2 8. So totally 8 electrons placed in bonding molecular orbital, only 2 electrons present in antibonding molecular orbital. 8 minus 2 divided by 2. So 6 by 2, 3. Between the nitrogen atoms, we have a triple bond. Between nitrogen atoms, we have a triple bond. So bond order represents number of bonds formed between the atoms on a molecule. So magnetic property of N2 molecule, all the electrons are present in the form of paired electron. So the molecule is diamagnetic in nature. Next one, formation of oxygen molecule. For oxygen, electronic configuration 1s2, 2s2, 2px2, 2py1, 2pz1. Totally 8 electrons. 8 electrons placed in this order. So 2 oxygen atoms are going to combine. Electronic arrangement 1s2, 2s2, 2px2, 2py1, 2pz1. For second oxygen also the same 1s2, 2s2, 2px2, 2py1, 2pz1. If atomic orbitals are combining, they are producing the bonding as well as antibonding molecular orbital. For oxygen and above that, so oxygen with atomic number 8, when you take another element, fluorine with atomic number 9. So for oxygen molecule and the fluorine molecule F2, for these two molecules, there is a change in the molecular orbital diagram. Okay. Up to nitrogen, this will be the order of orbital. First, sigma 1s, sigma star 1s, sigma 2s, sigma star 2s, pi 2py, pi 2pz. Both are having same energy. Then comparing this, sigma 2px having more energy. Comparing this, pi star 2py, pi star 2pz having more energy, but these two will have same energy. So these two are degenerate orbital. Comparing this, sigma star 2px will have more energy. So energy is increasing in this order. This is the order of molecular orbital for molecules up to N2. Up to nitrogen, we follow this order. After that, we have oxygen and fluorine. In these molecules, the order will be slightly changed. Okay. So we have sigma 2px, pi 2py, pi 2pz. So this is the order for molecular orbital of oxygen as well as fluorine. So a slight change in the order. So calculate how much electrons in the molecule. We have omitted 1s. Remaining outermost cell alone considered. In the outermost cell, how much electrons for each oxygen? 2 plus 4, 6. So valence electron 6. For first oxygen 6, second oxygen also 6 electrons. Totally 12 electrons. We are going to place the 12 electrons. So first electron, second electron, third electron, fourth electron, fifth electron, sixth electron, seventh electron, eighth electron, ninth electron, 10th electron, 11th electron, 12th electron. So this is the placement of electron in the bonding as well as anti-bonding molecular orbital. Totally 12 electrons when we consider outermost sulfur oxygen atoms. This is the arrangement of 12 electrons in the bonding as well as anti-bonding molecular orbital. So according to Hund's rule, if you have degenerate orbital, first the electron occupies singly, then only pairing will take place. So we should not have both electron in only one orbital. Okay. So we may write electronic configuration for the molecule as usual: sigma 1s2, sigma star 1s2, sigma 2s2, sigma star 2s2. Then now order will be changed, which is lower energy: sigma 2px2, pi 2py2, pi 2pz2, then pi star 2py1, pi star 2pz1. So this is the electronic configuration for oxygen molecule O2, not N2, O2. We calculate bond order. Two, 4, 6, 8, totally 8 electrons present in bonding molecular orbital. What about number of electrons in anti-bonding molecular orbital? 2 plus 1 plus 1, totally 4 electrons. So bond order value 2. Between the oxygen atoms, double bond exists. What about magnetic property? We have single electron, so this is paramagnetic in nature. O2 molecule is paramagnetic in nature. So according to valence bond theory, we said oxygen molecule is diamagnetic, but we have proved oxygen as a paramagnetic based on molecular orbital theory. So with this, we complete homonuclear diatomic molecules. Formation of bond will be explained by molecular orbital theory. We have considered homonuclear diatomic molecules. Next, we move into heteronuclear diatomic molecules. So we may consider carbon monoxide first. For the heteronuclear molecules, order will be different. The previous order. This is sigma 2px, pi 2py, pi 2pz. So carbon as well as oxygen are going to combine. What is the electronic configuration of carbon? 1s2, 2s2, 2px1, 2py1. This is the electronic configuration of carbon. Electronic configuration of oxygen: 1s2, 2s2, 2px2, 2py1, 2pz1. So total number of electrons, we have considered only valence shell. Total number of electrons, left hand side 4, right hand side 6, overall 10 electrons. Right. Now place the 10 electrons. First electron, second electron, third electron, fourth electron, fifth electron, sixth electron, seventh electron, eighth electron, ninth electron, 10th electron. So what is the electronic configuration of the molecule carbon monoxide? Sigma 1s2, sigma star 1s2, sigma 2s2, sigma star 2s2, then pi 2py2, pi 2pz2, sigma 2px2. Next one, calculate bond order. Number of electrons in bonding molecular orbital: 2, 4, 6, 8. Number of electrons in anti-bonding molecular orbital: number of electrons in anti-bonding molecular orbital only 2. So bond order value will be 3. So between the carbon and oxygen we have a triple bond, and the molecule is diamagnetic because all the electrons are present in the form of paired one. So with this carbon monoxide over, next we take nitric oxide. Nitric oxide. Nitrogen and oxygen atoms will combine together to produce nitric oxide molecule. Electronic configuration of 1s2, 2s2, 2px1, 2py1, 2pz1 for nitrogen. Oxygen same 1s2, 2s2, 2px1, 2px2, 2py1, 2pz1. Now total number of electrons left hand side 5, right hand side 6. Right? So totally 11 electrons. First electron, second electron, third electron, fourth electron, fifth electron, sixth electron, seventh electron, 4, fifth electron, sixth electron, seventh electron, eighth electron, ninth electron, 10th electron, 11th electron. So all the 11 electrons placed in the molecular orbitals. Now electronic configuration sigma 1s2, sigma star 1s2, sigma 2s2, sigma star 2s2, pi 2py2, pi 2pz2, sigma 2px2, pi star 2py1. So this is electronic configuration for the molecule nitric oxide. Next we have to calculate what is the bond order. Number of electrons in bonding molecular orbital is how much? 2, 4, 6, 8, totally 8 electrons. Number of electrons in antibonding molecular orbital 2 plus 1, 3. So 2.5 bond order between nitrogen and oxygen 2.5. Now the molecule is paramagnetic in nature because it has a single electron. Okay. So this is molecular orbital diagram for nitric oxide molecule. So what are the molecules we have completed? Hydrogen, lithium, boron, carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, carbon monoxide, nitric oxide. Totally 8 molecules we have completed. Out of 8, 1 3 mark, 1 5 mark will come for exam, right? From these. So these are very important for 5 mark. This is important in 3 mark. Okay. So they will give some other molecules also, except these 8 molecules. Some other molecules can also be given, right? So you have to thorough with the theory. You can apply the concepts for any molecule to find bond order as well as magnetic property. So with this, molecular orbital theory over. So in this lesson we have completed what are the bonding. First, covalent bond. Next, ionic bond formation. Then third one, coordinate covalent bond. Valence bond theory based on hybridization. Then variation in the structure due to electron pair. It's called VS-EPR theory and molecular orbital theory. So all these bondings we have completed. Next, only one bonding is remaining, that is metallic bonding. Okay, so we take metallic bond. So what are the general characteristics of metals? For metals there are general characteristics. Metals are hard in nature. They have high density. So from lower class onwards we have studied. Metals are having high density. Metals are having high melting point as well as boiling point. And the metal are lustrous in nature. So when we take metals, they are lustrous in nature. Metals can be made as plate as well as wires. So we call them as malleability and ductility. So metals are malleable and ductile. So malleability and ductility are the properties of metals. Then they are good conductors of heat and electricity. So these are common properties of a metal. So we have to explain why a metal exhibits these type of property. So for this, the reason is metallic bond. So the bond exists in the metal is responsible for all these properties. Okay. Now metallic bond is totally different from the other type of bonds. So transfer of electron will not take place. So it is not ionic bond. Sharing of electron between the metal atoms will not take place. So it won't be like a covalent bond. So here a different type of arrangement. It was proposed by Drude as well as Lawrence. So two scientists have proposed a theory regarding the metallic bond. So this is also one of the force like ionic bond, covalent bond. So metallic bond is also a force which is responsible for holding the metal atoms in the crystal lattice. So a metal atoms are arranged in three-dimensional crystal lattice. So that force holds the atoms in the crystal lattice. It's called a metallic bond. So what is the nature of metallic bond? What actually happens within the metal? This is mainly based on assemblage of a positive ion by free electrons. When you take one particular metal ion, for example copper, if copper metal ion is there, in the copper metal, around one metal ion, there will be more number of electrons. So we call them as sea of electron. So sea of electron means around one positively charged ion, more number of electrons will be there. So a cloud of electron will be there. So this is responsible for this bonding. Okay. So between the positively charged cation and the free electrons, there is an electrostatic force of attraction. We call it as metallic bond. So metallic bond is defined as the electrostatic force of attraction exists between the positive ion and the free electrons in its assemblage. So this is an aggregation process, right? More electrons will be aggregated around one particular cation. So this is called a metallic bond. Then how there is a formation of a free electron? In metals, we have a cation as well as a free electron. Now, the free electron is mainly obtained from the neutral atoms. The electrons which is present in the outermost shell, that means valence electrons or loosely bounded electrons, are removed from the neutral atom. The process is called ionization. A neutral atom becomes an ion by losing the electron. The process is called ionization. So due to ionization, metals are having free electrons, and the attraction between the free electron and the positive ion is called a metallic bond. Next, we have to explain the properties based on metallic bond. The metallic bond is very stronger bond, and the metallic atoms are arranged in three dimensions. So due to this attraction, in three dimensions, the atoms are arranged in the crystal lattice, but it is not directional. They are not directional. Assemblage of electron around a positive ion is not a directional one, but arrangement will be in three dimensions. So the proper arrangement of metallic atoms in the crystal lattice is responsible for high density. Why metals are having high density and they are hard in nature? Due to the arrangements in the crystal lattice properly. Okay. Next, when you take metals, it can be made as a plate as well as wire. So they are malleable as well as ductile. Why it happens means the arrangement of positive ion as well as free electron, or simply we may say the arrangement of atoms in the metal will be in the form of slip plates. The arrangement will be present in the form of slip plates. So when you make a mechanical stress, when you compress a metal, when you make a mechanical load on the metal, so this plate will be moving. So due to the movement of these plates, metals are malleable as well as ductile. So metals are hard in nature, they are having high density. This is mainly due to a strong force of attraction between the cation and the free electron and the proper arrangement of atoms in three dimensions. Next, metals are malleable and ductile. Why? The arrangement of positive ion and electrons will be in the form of slip plates. When you make mechanical loading or stress, the movement will take place. This is responsible for ductility as well as malleability of metal. Next one, they are lustrous in nature. Metals are lustrous in nature because the free electrons will reflect the light. When sunlight is striking the surface of a metal, there will be a reflection of sunlight by the free electrons, so that they are lustrous in nature. Next, we have to explain thermal as well as electrical conductivity. The metals are very good thermal conductor as well as electrical conductor. So this can be explained based on molecular orbital theory also. When metallic atoms are joining to form a metallic crystal, there will be formation of bonding as well as anti-bonding molecular orbital. So metallic atoms like copper atoms or gold atoms, when they are combining to form a metallic crystal, there will be a formation of bonding as well as anti-bonding molecular orbital. And the main thing is, in all the metals, there will be a band. So this is called valence band. Another one is conduction band. So two levels based on the energy. Valence bond means electrons will be there. Valence electrons. Right? So for the metals, we have many free electrons. Valence band means the electrons will be in this band, and there is an energy gap. We call this as band gap. This is called the band gap. If the band gap is very low, electrons can easily jump into the conduction band. Valence electrons in the valence band will be jumped into the conduction band. The electrons in the conduction band is responsible for electrical and thermal conduction. Why metal conducts heat and electricity means the electrons will be in the conduction band. So there should be a jumping. For jumping of an electron from valence into conduction band, the energy gap or band gap should be lesser one. Then only it will be a very good conductor. So we can easily compare metallic conductance by different metals. For example, gold as well as copper. So comparing all these, silver will be the very good conductor. Right. So for each metal, there is an electrical conductivity. Electrical conductivity is different, mainly due to this band gap. So according to molecular orbital theory, molecular orbitals formed when two metallic atoms are joining in the form of metallic crystal. Bonding orbital will be filled. This is important, one more question. So electrons, the free electrons will be occupied in bonding molecular orbital. Anti-bonding molecular orbital will be empty. Okay, so in metals, anti-bonding molecular orbital will be empty. Electrons will occupy lower energy bonding molecular orbital, and the band gap is 0. So one more. So the band gap is 0. So due to the absence of band gap, we cannot easily differentiate valence band as well as conduction band. So electrons can conduct electricity easily. Okay. So this is responsible for electrical as well as thermal conductance of metals. Next one, the color of metals. Except 3 metals, remaining metals are black in color. Copper, gold, then silver. So copper, silver, gold, these 3 metals are not black in color. Except these 3, remaining metals are black in color. So color of the metal is black. Except these 3 remaining metals are black in color. This is mainly due to absorption of all wavelength of light. We know that sunlight has a particular wavelength. So we call that Vibgyor. For a different wavelength, a different color, violet, indigo, blue, red, like that. So the sunlight has a particular wavelength region. So this metal will absorb all the wavelength of light, so that this is black in color. So perfect absorber is a black color, right? Perfect emitter is what? White color. So all the lights are emitted means white in color. If all wavelength of light is absorbed means black in color, right? So absorption of all wavelength of light is possible for a metal because band gap is 0, right? So if there is band gap means by absorbing the light, so the metal will get energy from the sunlight. when sunlight is striking the metal, it will get energy, that means solar energy. Electrons will be jumped from one band into another band. It will emit a particular color. So color appearance is possible. But in case of metals, there is no band gap. So they are perfect absorber of light of all wavelength. So they are black in color. So with this, we complete 10th lesson. So chemical bonding lesson is over. So in this lessons, we have completed different types of bonding: ionic bond, covalent bond, coordinate covalent bond, metallic bond, and related theories we have completed. Lewis structure, valence bond theory, VSEPR theory, molecular orbital theory. So all these we have completed. So for this 20%, we have 3 lessons. Lesson number 3, periodic classification of element. Lesson number 4, hydrogen. Lesson number 10, chemical bonding. So important 3 lessons we have completed in this first 20%. Today portion is over, right? So with this portion completed for first 20%, remaining you have 3 days. Monday onwards we have a revision. So Friday, Saturday, Sunday, you have 3 days. You just prepare well. Okay, nearly 60 to 85 pages will be there, right? So study both book back as well as interior questions. Prepare well for exams. Okay, thank you. If you have any doubt, you just call me or send a message. We will have a discussion in Zoom class. Okay, thank you.